Hey team, Pastor Trevor here with another quick tech tour, and I thought I would show you a quick rundown of what I do when I get here.
You know what? Do you have a rundown that I could take a look at just so I know what type of rundown you're looking for?
Just keep it simple.
Keeping it simple, that's what I'm doing. But
This is sort of an order of operations, if you will. So I'm going to walk you through step by step what I do when I first arrive on Sunday morning and why the order matters. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing that I will do is walk back here to my office and go on in to boot on the Stream Desk. Now, the reason why, let's turn the lights on back here. It's always a hard switch to find. If you want a little extra light, you can come over here and turn on this overhead light here. You come into this tech cage here. This is all additional information for you, but you can turn this on and you'll have a little extra light that's going to handle our camera systems and everything. We want to get that booted on, but the reason we come to our Stream Desk first is because if the Stream Desk isn't on, a lot of times ProPresenter won't see the sources for the live stream. So we'll go ahead and we'll open up our software here. So the first thing we'll want to open is OBS and Mixing Station. If you don't find these icons in the toolbar, you can always search for them. Now, those items will be open, but since nothing's booted on yet on the other side, we'll want to make sure that we get other stuff up and running too. But this is the first thing that we'll do. And then on this computer here, we'll want to go ahead and get logged in here. Same password that we use for everything, which I'm not going to put on YouTube for the world to know, but whatever streaming platform we're using, you'll want to go ahead and just get music playing now. Don't worry, it's not going to come through the system until ProPresenter tells it to come on. So that's our first step in this whole process. We'll just go ahead and get this all up and running. Again, just to give us the most time possible to make sure that everything is working properly. So because ProPresenter and the board aren't on yet, we'll run over and do that now. So we'll come into the CLC, we'll get some lights on, just to get things rolling. And we'll come back here to our sound booth. And what I like to do is grab all these batteries, however many we need on a given Sunday. We'll take these and just put them on the stage for our worship team so they can get batteries in their mics and stuff. I haven't asked our sound people to handle batteries for mics just yet, for the vocalists at least, because they can do that themselves. And then we have our wireless packs as well for our bassist or guitarist or whoever wants some wireless packs. So those can go up onto the stage as well. Make sure they're charged though. That's pretty important. I will say the one thing that I do want our sound team to be in charge of is just grabbing a pair of batteries and making sure that Pastor Noah's mic has batteries in it. So we'll go through our startup process like normal, starting with the board. So we'll go ahead and turn our soundboard on, and we'll also go ahead and get logged in onto ProPresenter. But we'll go ahead and get ProPresenter running and make sure that's the only program running, because we don't want any RAM being taken by anything else. And it will go ahead and start up. We'll get logged into our board and recall the scene. Again, just to make sure that we're getting all this stuff done well in advance so that if there are problems, we can fix them and not delay our worship team. We'll go ahead and recall our scene. and that's good to go. The board's ready to go now, and we'll go through our normal boot up process with our switches there, get our side mains turned on, and get our projectors as well as the rear projector turned on. So we'll go through that process as well, but we won't for this video. Our ProPresenter team and our worship team actually know how those systems turn on, but I've already done an extensive tour of ProPresenter here. But one thing that you do want to be sure of, if the live stream desk is on, it shouldn't be a problem, but sometimes it doesn't like to see our source for the live stream. So if that happens, which sometimes it can happen, it's actually doing it right now. It's not seeing that live stream source. So we'll go ahead and go to the live stream desk and see if we can't get that source to pop up. So we're back at the live stream desk, and we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to show you how mixing station can get logged in. So we'll hit connect. You can just click yes when that comes up and type in our password, 1234, super secure. And now we have total control over the live stream feed audio. Over here now in OBS, we're having an issue with ProPresenter not seeing the source. So we're just gonna go ahead and deactivate that source real quick. We can see our camera's working. If you go to Tools, PTC Camera Controller, you'll have control over the CLC camera. Very good. So we know all those control surfaces are working, and that's great. While we've got selected on the CLC ProPresenter 7 HDMI capture, we'll activate that source again, and then we'll run back across and see if that's resolved our issue. ProPresenter 7 is closed out right now, so I don't have this control panel seeing ProPresenter 7 yet. Black screen is, we should be able to see the toolbar from that computer at least, and we're still not seeing that. So we may need to restart that Mac for that source to show up, right? So maybe we'll try that first if that's not working. So while we're waiting for this computer to restart, because we're having trouble with that video source, I'll go ahead and show you our light system. So we have this remote here that controls all of our stage lights as well as the lights in the balcony. And you can just press this button and they should, might have to press it twice for the remote to kind of come out of sleep. But a lot of times the second press will do it. And anytime you're switching scenes, the first time you press the button, it'll actually just turn all the lights off. And so you'll have to press it again for that scene to actually trigger. And then you've got a worship and a alternative worship. W2 is the other worship color if you were to put a second color on there. You've got B for balcony, which turns the balcony on and off. P for preaching. This is an all off button, blackout. And then this turns everything white on stage. So if you've got things that you're trying to get set up on stage, you can just press that and it will make things nice and bright for you to get things moving on stage. You also have, really important on Sunday, you need these floodlights to be on for that additional light on stage. And then you've got this console here, which handles our stage spotlights that are hanging from the drop ceiling. And you've got the blackout button to turn those on and off. So Elijah already knows all of this system. He knows it pretty well. We have, of course, our dimmer here, which handles section 2, and I'll turn section 7 off on Sundays and only use that section 2 right there. So now that ProPresenter is the ProPresenter computer is restarted, we'll go ahead and log back in. Before we even open ProPresenter, it may open on its own here. because it's set to launch on its own, I think. But before you even open it, you can actually click this little double square icon over here. But you have this little icon in the corner here for your screens. And as you can see, restarting it still didn't fix that issue. This happens sometimes. Kind of messes up my whole training video here because things aren't working right, of course. But this is another reason why it would be better to have a Mac with at least 3 outputs for video feeds. But few people need 3 video outputs because this is a pretty rare instance that ProPresenter 7 is sending out 3 different video feeds at the same time. Let's open up ProPresenter and just see if ProPresenter can spot that video feed. Even though it's not popping up right here, sometimes it fixes itself. If it doesn't pop up now, we'll run back and do the same thing on the live stream. We'll restart OBS and see if we can get OBS to pull that screen up. But I'm guessing that if you go to the configure screen window, we're still not going to see that live stream source. Yeah, it's still not showing up. So let's run back to the Stream Desk and see if that's going to fix the problem. But again, this is typical of a Sunday with a computer that's using video output sources like a USB video capture card. It just can be a little finicky sometimes. So we'll walk through the process of getting this running again. Again, restarting anything is going to fix a multitude of problems. So you can keep that in mind. But we've already restarted this computer. It did fix the issue slightly, but my guess is that OBS needs to kind of wake up this USB capture card on the back. So let's go to the Stream Desk and check that out. Okay, so I did finally get this. In our configure screen window, you want to make sure that HDTX is selected as your output. And it is finally showing up, which is great. And we can close out of that. You've got all of these sources showing up. You've got HDTX, our 3D TV source, and BenQ PJ, which is our rear projector. This is going to a splitter that handles the projectors up front. And then you've got a USB capture card. Sorry, this camera work is not great. If I were doing this right, I would probably just start a new screen recording, but we've got this guy right here, which is our USB output capture card thing. I wound up just unplugging it and plugging it back in again, and that fixed the issue. There's an app that controls this. Usually, if it's open, it's this little icon right here, and you can right-click it, and it gives you all sorts of controls and stuff. Or you can just open the app, and it will open this. It's this Instant View app. If it's not open, it won't work. But basically what it's doing is capturing screen settings and converting them to a third output, as opposed to just having a direct output. So essentially it's an external output video card, and it's a little sketchy because you have a third-party app running in the background on your Mac. I'm sure it's collecting all sorts of data that you might not want it to have, but that's the trade-off to using a device like this. So that is the gist of it. Now when we go back to our live stream desk, we should be able to see things showing up at that live stream desk as expected. We'll go ahead and trigger some lyrics so that we can see if that's working the way that we want it to. Okay, so I did finally get everything to show off the way that it's supposed to, but again, this is why I get here fairly early, so that if I need to, I can troubleshoot things. Sometimes this stuff comes on and everything just works perfect without having to do any troubleshooting. Other times, stuff just decides that it's not going to quite work right. So still some kinks to work out, but by and large, just through some troubleshooting, restarting, unplugging and plugging back in, things like that, you can get things to work the way that you would expect it to. So here's our live stream desk. Again, if you press this mirror button, it's going to show you exactly what is being shown in-house. If you select Praise Team though, it will put it back in the right view. You have all these macros, access to these macros to control different things. Be careful with that. You can be very dangerous back here at the live stream desk. Do this kids dismissed, and that will dismiss the kids. I've seen that video come up too early before. I think someone in the live desk accidentally bumped it, which I think is funny. You mirror, you can actually see it. Anyway, everything should work the exact same way in the sanctuary. Nothing on that side is booted on yet, but again, I've made a more extensive video covering what all this program can do. You can check that out on the YouTube channel. Hope this video has been helpful to you. I know this turned out to be more of a booting up and troubleshooting type video, but you got to know how to do that stuff too. So if you have any other questions though, feel free to reach out. I'm always available to answer any questions. You can always make the stuff your own. If you don't like the way that it's running, you can change stuff. You can make this equipment work the way that you want it to. It's very, what's the word I want to use? Adjustable. I've made a habit of just making minor tech improvements and making things work the way that I want them to. And it's worked out fairly well. It may have some hitches here and there, maybe a bit of a hodgepodge, but by and large, the system works when it's working. And you may have to do some troubleshooting to get there at first, but it does work the way that I have always wanted it to. So that's all I've got for you guys. If you have any other questions, like I said, feel free to reach out, and we'll see you around.